Hello, humans. Welcome to the M-Word podcast brought to you by Martin. That's me.
I'm Matt.
That's him. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Sean.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. We're going to learn about Judo today.
Yeah.
And then some background, your background in it as well. But perhaps we'll start with the basics just to, certainly myself, I've never really been involved with Judo. I think the only time, probably sadly for the sport, you really see it on TV, I guess, is the Olympics. Really,
yeah.
I think maybe a little bit on Eurosport.
Eurosport, yeah.
Would you say, as someone who's obviously into the sport, but as fans who want to watch the sport, do you think it's an interesting sport to watch?
Again, it's quite a tough question to answer, really, because especially for me, because I love the sport. Like I grew up with it. So my dad's always had it on TV, regardless, anyway. So I enjoy watching it.
Do you think that's because I assume it's super technical?
Yes,
the hunters understand the law.
Yeah, of course. It'll be same kind of thing. Obviously, it's a bit more mainstream. The jiu-jitsu, like not a lot of your average Joes, I suppose, are going to just tune in and watch it and watch a couple of people roll around on the floor and be like, "Oh, it's amazing!" Like, you know what I mean? It's not that great to watch, I suppose. But when you know the intricacies of the sport and what they're actually doing with themselves and how they're doing it and how difficult it is to actually do, then you really appreciate what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose, it does. You do have to have a bit of knowledge there to appreciate the sport, I suppose.
Which, I agree. Because you're saying about, I was going to say about cycling, hours on end watching, let's say, the Tour de France, and to most people looking in, that's just people riding on a bike and not interesting. But
that's what I think.
Exactly. But that's got the, we're talking about, that's got the coverage that is, always on ITV or Eurosport for those long hours. Whereas you say myself, exactly that. Judo wouldn't have a clue, or it's not something you see as prevailing.
Yeah, I think the difference with that as well is, like you say, the cycling that can go on for ages. Like it's quite a long. Some of the races are long, prolonged events. Like, do you know what I mean? So people can get invested in it. Whereas a judo fight can be over in 30 seconds, bang, done, game over, see you later. That's it, win, ippon, like done. So like,
but then the same could be said for boxing, though.
Well, it can, but you've got 12 rounds of boxing potentially to enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Whereas judo, I think it's 5 minutes properly, like a 5-minute round. I do 3. I think the professionals do like 5-minute mat time.
How many rounds of that is that?
It's just one 5-minute round. Again,
so lazy.
I don't know whether it's 5 or 3 actually, because I do 3, but I'm sure that like the guys in the Olympics like do 5. But again, I could be wrong, but no. So it's like point scoring throughout the contest. Yeah. Whoever gets first to 10 wins, basically. But 10 is the ippon, so you can get slammed with an ippon and be over in 30 seconds. Yeah, knockout basically. Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's.
So the judging of that, is that done by ringside judges who decide that was a good movement, you deserve 2 points, 1 point? How does that?
No, you've got, again, it's because it changes quite a lot. Recently, they've moved to something called a wazari, which is a 5-score point. And obviously the ippon, which is like your 10 points, which is a knockout basically for those that, into your boxing and stuff. It's just a pure, that's it, win. You get them slammed on the back and it's game over. But you can, there was like, there was other scores that you could get for like 1 point, 2 points and stuff like that and build them up. But they've got away with that now, so that you're actually doing like the aesthetically pleasing techniques so that people want to see the big throws. Do you know what I mean? People want to see knockouts at boxing, don't they? So they've tailored it more towards that way. So you're not winning just by little throws here and there and it's a bit boring. And do you know what I mean? Oh, he's got 10 points all of a sudden. Oh, he's the winner. Whereas like now, right, you need to go for the...
It's principally the 5 or 2 pointers.
Exactly, yeah. So you need to go for the big ones to win, basically.
So we talk about the ippon on the back and slamming them on the back.
Yeah.
The
wazari, sorry.
Wazari. Yeah. What kind of... Is that getting someone onto the side?
Yes. Yeah. So...
good guess.
Yeah. So wazari it's like, again, 5 points, 10 points, it's like half an ippon. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're kind of getting them down, but basically an ippon needs to be like flat on the back, both shoulders touching the mat. Wazari, you can kind of get out of it if you roll a touch and like it's not a full slam basically on the floor.
Did you think that maybe, is there an aspect where it might make bites more negative because there's so much on the line for, obviously there could be two of them and you're done, or one whereby
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. No, there's obviously the referee's there for a reason. Like there's a thing called a Judo, which is a penalty. So it's called like stiff arming. If you're stiff arming someone away from you, do you know what I mean? They can't come in to do a technique. Then you need to be loose. Do you know what I mean?
Much like again, we go boxing, be more.
Yeah,
refs will say fight.
Exactly.
Fight,
yeah, one's being negative, one's coming to try and do a bit. The one that's being negative will get penalised. So it's that's the same in judo. You get 3 chances and then no contest. So it's in your best interest to engage and actually have a go. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're outmatched, you've still got to go for it. Otherwise, you're going to get penalised and lose the fight anyway. So,
and with that change in how you're saying about the score and being rather than points, it's kind of going for those bigger ones. Has that changed the way in which you train? Because you're maybe not as concerned about the 1 and 2. You know, what would historically go those points? You're now actually. Why do that if you're only going to get scored for the 5 or the 10? Again, has that changed the way fights are?
Possibly. I mean, not for me, because I've always gone for the big ones, you know what I mean? I would want to get in there and do the biggest throw possible and get off the mat, do you know what I mean? Next one, bang, done. Like, I just love it. That's why I prefer the judo over the jiu-jitsu, do you know what I mean? Because although they do takedowns and stuff like that, it's nowhere near as the finesse and like the beautiful throws, you know what I mean? And the slam on the mat when you nail someone, it's beautiful. Like, I love it. So that's why I go there every now and then and roll around. But I like standing on my feet and giving someone a good walloping. But yeah, like you said, it probably has for some people. Like, it probably has changed the game a little bit. But not for me personally. No, I like the big ones.
Before we talk a bit about maybe the background of judo, just a quick question. You mentioned jiu-jitsu a couple of times there. When we watch MMA and we think that's a combination of different sports, is judo one of those combinations within now? Or is it kind of get into the melting pot because of the other things that form part of MMA, whether it's boxing, whether it's jiu-jitsu? As the judo people have gone into MMA, and again, I say MMA only because it's obviously quite a popular sport now.
Yeah, I think your most popular one would be Ronda Rousey. Female MMA fighter. Yeah, she was brilliant. Shown really well at the UFC as well until she met a striker and got knocked out. But that's the way the game goes sometimes, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You play to your strengths, and her strength was grappling and throwing people to the floor and choking them out and stuff, and she's done really well with that. Sorry, what was your first question?
I suppose it's like, is judo part of that MMA?
Fights.
So got jiu-jitsu, there's boxing in there, there's judo, there's some other sports.
I don't even pronounce his name. Is it Kazmat? Someone, I don't know. Anyway, some UFC fighter. He's predominantly judo. And what's his name? The guy that fought McGregor for the title, beat McGregor. Again, I don't follow UFC too heavily, but
and it was a Russian.
The Russian guy got his name out.
I couldn't even pronounce it.
So basically, there are elements when you see the MMA, you see that stuff.
Them kind of fighters, they were brought up doing judo and sambo and stuff like that, like in Russia and all them kind of places. Like they're mad on it. So you see, like the most successful ones will have a good background in judo.
You never fancied
totally honest with you.
MMA?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, still do, to be fair.
Oh, really?
I've just never done it. I trained it a little bit. I think, I won't mind giving it a go at some point.
So you mentioned jiu-jitsu and judo. What if you have to simply describe the differences between those two headlines?
There's quite a few differences. Again, I'm not a massive jiu-jitsu guy, so I don't know the full ins and outs of the point scoring and stuff like that. But I know obviously they spend a lot of the time on the ground, which is an element of judo. Like if you get a Wazari score for argument's sake, like we were saying before, and that's just a 5-pointer, the match isn't finished. Like the fight's not over. You've got to follow them to the ground, and well, you can if you want, follow them to the ground and do basically jiu-jitsu, groundwork, arm lock, strangles, hold downs, and you can win the fight like that. So you can get a Wazari score, take him to the floor, still not win the fight fully, but you've got him on the floor now, you're in a dominant position. You can, put him in a wrist lock or choke him out, or it's up to me a few times.
Right.
But so obviously be naturally there then. We talked about there being the 5-10 points. Tap out, knockout, submission, should we say, is another route to
yes, work, right? and hold down as well. You can hold them down for I think 25, 30 seconds.
Didn't know you could choke people out in judo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Like I say, like it is. Jiu-jitsu is very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
They again, why I prefer judo, it just seems to be more. I was going to say efficient then, but for me in my head, the way it's taught is. It's a lot simpler. Whereas jiu-jitsu will go around the houses and say, oh, you need to get in this position, then curl up and do this, and then go around and do this. I've never bothered with that. I just get them down, done.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'll try to. But again, the scoring system, I think it's nice for them to do all them transitions to accumulate points. Do you know what I mean? Throughout the course of a match, if you don't submit them or whatever, you've got them points in the bank then for doing your transitions from different guards and different like positions basically on the mat.
We're not here to talk about jiu-jitsu, but is it on mats as well?
Yeah.
So let's go to maybe a bit of background of judo, and I don't know whether you're kind of let's not call it an historian, but the background. No, okay. Nope. So I was reading about it, and maybe rather than asking you then and going that it was it's a 19th century sport. I was reading, and it was focused on personal development, physical fitness, and mutual respect. So when I read the mutual respect thing, obviously again my only sort of exposure to it is in the Olympics. It seems a very respectful sport. Yeah. You come on, you bow, you finish, you bow. So how, like, I think about that and just applying that into as a good discipline in life, having respect for your opponent and that type of thing.
It's fantastic.
Just your views on that type of thing.
Yeah, brilliant. Like, I'm going to 100%. My son's going to be going down soon, and it'll hopefully instill that in him as well. Again, I don't want to drag other sports into it, but it's like the likes of obviously I've done boxing for a little bit. There is discipline there. Obviously, there has to be discipline there, otherwise you won't be able to do the sport. But the respect part, do you know what I mean? That aspect seems to be missing, whereas the judo, it's fully honed in. Like, you're not on the mat unless you do as you're told, basically. Do you know what I mean? You don't answer back, you don't do this, you don't do that. Show respect. Yeah. Simple as that.
It's interesting because I wonder if you think of, and that's great, and that's the way it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So then if you think about like a hype, and again, we go back to boxing example, a hype of boxing matches. I'd like to say you and I fighting, but obviously I win. But we're fighting, and all the pre-matches just gobbing off, isn't it? Gobbing off, and the respect isn't there. Yeah. But that's also hard for the hype in the cell.
Promotion, isn't it? Yeah.
And you wonder whether maybe judo loses out a bit because it hasn't got, almost by being that good at what it does, it loses out.
100%. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Again, I've often thought, like, would it have more audience, more publicity if there were people slagging matches going off, bombing and all that stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd just tune in for that, wouldn't you? To be fair, but
it's interesting that you mentioned there about want to take your kid there to not learn that respect, but to show that that's an important part of. It's good. So principles. So I was reading about that. Obviously, it's based on. And I was quite interested when we were chatting before we came on air. I was chatting to a guy that used to do a bit of judo, and he was talking about the whole concept of judo, and this maybe talk about the technical side of it. It's an element of what your skills have, but what you're really trying to identify is the opponent's weakness, to exploit that weakness, their movement, and to then use your movement to slam them down.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah, right. You've obviously got. Again, you'll find, like, in the Olympics and stuff like that, your top judo players, they'll probably only focus on like 2 or 3 moves max, and they'll perfect them to, you know, within an inch of their life, they'll be training that move for a certain scenario. Because when it pops up, and it will pop up eventually in a contest, bam, they're in and they've done it. Like, and you don't know what's going on. Like, it's that quick and they're that powerful and skillful. It's just, you're on your back before you know it. So yeah, there's an element of playing to your own strengths and your own techniques that work for you, but obviously, in the heat of the battle, so to speak, like, you will be figuring out what your opponent's doing and how they're moving and what they're doing and what technique will work. Oh, they've done that. Oh, they're going to do it a third time. Oh, I know what to catch them with this time. So bang, and you've got them there. Do you know what I mean? So I
suppose that goes back to when you're watching the sport on TV, you're seeing those foot movements and going, spot a weakness there, or I'd be exploiting that area.
Or if they're doing a side step, like, oh, I'd love a Kaguruma in there. And then they go and do it, and you're like, get it.
That's good. Okay. What camera is? What about you, Matt?
It sounds like a curry.
Do you do any of that side to it then, and before your fights, like in terms of reading, whatever that may be, of your opponents? Do you concern do you concern yourself with that, or do you wait? Is it pure? As you've been kind of alluding to there, in the moment of how I'm feeling, and if I spot anything he's doing?
Good question, really. sometimes I'm thinking, like if I've entered a tournament, for example, and all the names are on the list, it's so easy to just go on Google or YouTube and just type the name in and see what they're about and what they're doing. But as I've kind of progressed and grown up, I suppose, don't really care. Yeah, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to turn up best I can, and best I can do. I know I'll beat anybody on the day if I turn up as good as I can be. So that's all that you need to be focused on, to be fair.
It's the thought you go to things like Island Games where perhaps there's not a lot of YouTube stuff. You might be fighting someone in the Orkney Islands and you're like, how can I? So unless they've had previous rounds where maybe you've either watched them or I guess you're coaching people.
That's another thing you kind of suss them out on the day, because if it's a tournament or a championship or whatever, they're going to have a good few fights. You're going to be having a good few fights. So you're sat on the edge of the mat anyway, waiting to go. So you're just naturally watching them as well. You're like, oh, I'll catch him with this when I fight him or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you are playing stuff around in your head. But in terms of like the build up and stuff, I kind of like, I just expect to be fighting the best all the time. So I'm ready to go anyway. So it doesn't matter like who they are, like, because they can't be better than what I've got in my head. Do you know what I mean?
Like you said, you concentrate on your stuff and you've nailed down your moves that you know that if your opportunity arises.
Exactly. And I've got like a move for every little avenue. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if they're doing something that is a bit unorthodox, I've got that in the back of my head anyway, because it's like, I've drilled that a million times. I've drilled it if they do this a million times. I've drilled it if they do that a million times. So whatever they do, I know I've got an answer. Do you know what I mean? Well, I like to think I have.
And again, question for someone who knows nothing on it. Are you all not practicing the same stuff though? But you know when you say, no, I've got these moves, I've got this.
Yeah.
Is there that variety in it?
Oh, there's loads of different.
Or is everyone?
It depends. Yeah, there are like throws of the month. Do you know what I mean? Like people will be doing like Sianagi for a year or two. Like it's just hot stuff. Like people are just doing it, and then it'll just transition to a different technique, and all the top guys seem to be doing that technique. And it does kind of change, but there's definitely there's that many of them. Like there's so many variations of certain throws as well that are just like personal to you. Do you know what I mean? Like there's the textbook way of doing it, and then there's like my way of doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's slightly different.
And is that changing of the popular one? Because people are aware of it, they've all done it for the year, and then this one kind of counters that. Is that one counters that one? So okay, we know this is the favorite one, so I know I can counter by doing this one instead or something. Like I'm just trying to work out why. Why there's like a.
To be fair, no, I don't. It just seems to be like there's just everyone, all the top lads are doing that throw, and it's just like wow, they're smashing people with that. So everyone else starts doing it.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
So, you know what the mats are called?
God, why? Don't embarrass me. Judo expert. I don't even know what the mats are called.
Tatami. Does that sound right? Yeah. So I'll laugh at all my, I assume they're going to use phrases. So pros, you talk about their nagewazi, so they called nagewazi.
Waza.
Waza, yeah. And then the grappling's the katami waza.
Katami waza.
So,
Ni waza is groundwork.
Oh, right, okay. And then the uniforms are known as?
Gis.
Gis,
or
okay.
is that going to say kimono on that or something?
No, that's right. Well, that's right. I'll rely on you for that. So, do you know where they come from? Why they wear because people watch it. It's
they're just really comfy, aren't they? So they just.
I've never worn one, to be honest.
No. Like you say, I'm not a massive historian on the game. I just, like I say, my dad was really good. And he just brought me up doing it. I've not really, again, like asked me a lot of the Japanese names for the throws and stuff. Like I'll be like, oh, what is that throw? But you show me it or you tell me what it is. I'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that. It's easy. But I've just never associated that, like engage a part of my brain, because it's like, I'm just there to fight really. Like I just want to get the techniques done that I like and what I can do and just go out and compete and try and win.
So just on the key.
But yeah, to be fair, I should do a bit more of the old theory side and stuff.
No, yeah.
My coach is going to catch me with this.
Just on the geese before we move, I assume then that they're all like a regulation. They've got to be in this, because otherwise, I can see people. Shortening the collar because I
do on the sleeves. Like, it's like this. Like people turn up to a competition, like my sleeves are down here, so they can just grab it and whatever. People just come up with like, do you know what I mean? Like, like walking out with like
the sleeves. I know that's obviously very critical, and I know I remember that I say, it's all down. There's all that sort of stuff. So they must have to in a certain way in that sense.
Like the governing body for it, they obviously regulate all that, and there is when you enter any kind of championships as well, it'll specify what's allowed and what's not, basically. So you just follow the guides on the itinerary when you sign up.
In the maybe more elite, where it's, I don't know whether they're paid for it, but is concussion, because you see that a lot through sports now, and rightly so. Is that a consideration, or it's very unregular?
It's the same as any sport, I suppose, isn't it? It's the same football now. You're getting concussion from heading the ball. Do you know what I mean? So
do they have protocols for it? Do they keep an eye out for that type of thing? Or do you see much chatter about that? Or
not that I've ever seen.
No.
To be honest, no. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But I've never delved that too far into
that
just side of things. That's all.
Nice,
I mean,
after a match, to pull someone on one side and say, we need to check you for a concussion.
Oh, mate,
you had a good slam.
Island Games 2019. I got rendered unconscious. Like, I got choked out like in the first fight. Like, it was pretty heavy actually. But obviously, I came to, and I went to the changing rooms after, and I was like, "When's my next fight?" I'm like, "You haven't got one." It's like, I came all this way, like trained all these months, like to not have another fight. Like, no, you've been basically knocked out. You're not allowed to compete like over like 24 hours or whatever it is, like resting period.
Yeah, so
you don't know what kind of damage it's done. Do you know what I mean? So I was fuming, but so yeah, they don't just send you straight back out to the lines once you've been really hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Did you get it on there? Did you?
No, bringing back bad times for me now. Bad period of my life, this.
Well, we'll come back to that, because we're going to talk about your career. So we will come back to it, though.
Once I'll give you
some you can process in your head about how to best present it. So I suppose one thing most people think of judo, they know the belt. There's the belt system.
Yeah.
And not that we're going to walk through every colour, but I assume obviously get in the sport. And how do you move up through those colours? How does that work?
See, again, it's changed so much from when I was a junior. There was always the theory side of stuff. You needed to know your throws, like certain throws for certain belts, and like demonstrate them and stuff to like your officials or whatever when you went away grading and that. And then you'd have to fight. You accumulate points over the. Is that all right? Yeah. So good. You accumulate points through fights, and I can't remember how many points you get per fight, like for a win or a loss or whatever. And then, once you've accumulated them points, then you're on to the next one.
To win those points, you have to be with, associations who are approved to run fights to then issue.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any unsanctioned judo fights, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just let's go down the pub and have a judo fight. Like, it's not like everything is, to be fair, it is quite stringent and strict with stuff, with regulations and that. So, yeah.
So why, again, I was quite interested. You see, everyone talks about black belt, but from there, there's then these thing called DANs.
Dan grades,
which is kind of, well, you might be better describing it, but I'll try and start and butcher it. Which is, there's 10 of them post. So you get your black belt, and then you can move through these DANs.
Yep.
And a certain element of getting those DANs is through competition, but almost the higher levels, just more what you contribute maybe back to the sport. And
I'm not even, to be honest with you, because I'm not even a black belt yet. I probably should be, to be fair, the amount of time I've been in it. But like I say, I've never chased belts or anything like that. I just, last however many years I've been doing it, I've just been going to competitions like Island Games and stuff like that, and I just want to fight and win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not bothered about knowing that, like I said before, the theory side and what's this called, what's that called, and I just get me on the mat, and I just want to scrap. just want to scrap. Do you know what I mean? So it's never really bothered me that much. But in terms of getting your black belt, it's getting your black belt is the same as all your other belts. You've got your theory side of stuff to do, you've got your kata to do. However, this is what I was going to say before, like obviously with the belt system, when I was a junior, you had to fight to earn your belts. Now you can do it all through theory. Do you know what I mean? And obviously time served on the mat, and what your coaches obviously observing you and seeing how good you are, and whether you're meeting the standard to move up a belt or whatever. And you can pretty much get all the way to your black belt doing that nowadays. Okay. Like back in the day, it wasn't like that. You had to go and proper, do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I preferred it. But yeah, it kind of takes a little bit of the shine off having it. For me, I mean, some people probably can't go away or whatever and they compete all the time and get the black belt. So I suppose it's good in a way, but for me, I feel like it needs to be, you need to earn that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like through competition and through blood, sweat and tears, I suppose.
Yeah. And are the events that you enter, are they restricted? I.e., you have to be brown belt to do?
There's Q grades and below and stuff like that. So yeah, you can. I was trying to think. Like the last, like say the British Masters for example, I entered 2 categories there. I entered because I was a blue belt at the time. I could enter in blue belt and below. Is it blue belt and below? Or was it brown and below? Brown and below probably. That's one category, and then it's the Dan. Oh no, yeah. Then it's brown and black belts in another category. So yeah, I was in the one below for them. Right. So they do separate it, obviously through weight as well. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, if you're going for a grading to achieve your next belt, because you're talking about a competition there, that's competition, like all belts can go in kind of thing, do you know what I mean? Whereas if you're going for your next belt, I think you have to beat people your same colour. Like, so if you're a yellow belt, you have to fight like 3 yellow belts and win to get your next one, do you know what I mean? Right. Okay. Whereas championship, it could be like blue belts and below, like they're all chucked in or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked earlier about the respect and humility. Sorry, I'm going to ask, wait a minute. 30 minutes ago, when you mentioned about throwing people just want to scrap, out of interest and not knowing you and your background, do you think, like, if you didn't have the discipline of judo and you perhaps weren't brought up in that environment, do you think that helps you, does that channel, because you use the word scrap a couple of times, which is kind of language of someone who likes to scrap. I'm not saying you do, but do you think if you weren't doing judo, that perhaps that you channeling it in the right place rather than, like you say, having a scrap in a pub?
I wouldn't say. Some people probably say otherwise, but me personally, I don't think I'm like an outwardly aggressive, like I don't really want to fight like anybody on the street or anything like that. Like I say, I do enough in the gym.
If you didn't have that outlet, do you think?
I don't think so.
No, I'm just asking, to be honest,
if I didn't have that outlet, I think I'd just be a big fat lazy so-and-so, to be honest.
So that's interesting. So let's talk a bit about that. Not that you being big, fat and lazy, but just that. So is that, obviously you mentioned about your dad doing it, so the environment you brought up in, I assume, helps that focus. But do you, and if, again, you talked about taking your kids to judo, is that, again, you see that sport, and we talk a lot to sports people about just the whole process of having sport and doing things around sport helps your mental well-being. Because otherwise, not that being sat on the couch means you've got bad mental health, but it just helps that space. Is that something you experienced through it?
100%. Like I've, again, was in Malta in April time, and I've not done anything since for a number of reasons. Probably go into it in a bit, but I feel the worst I've ever felt because I'm not doing anything. Like I put a bit of timber on, like just I'm not doing much. You know what I mean? I'm going to work, coming home, doing a bit of this, bit of that, and then going to sleep. Same thing. Like I'm not gearing up for anything. Like I'm just depressed, to be totally honest. The sports side definitely helps you. It gives you focus and all that good stuff that you were saying there. And yeah, you were saying like with regards to like taking my son down there and all that, it's kind of ran in the family for a few generations now. My dad's dad, obviously my dad with me, and obviously me with my little boy. Like, it's not steer us far wrong, to be honest. Like, I'd like to think we're all like decent human beings, you know what I mean? So I reckon the judo's kind of instilled a bit of, like you say, like discipline, respect, all that kind of stuff in us. Want that to continue.
So let's talk a bit about that. And so we'll talk about your career. So let's start with dad was judo, I believe, very highly regarded and competed at GB level. Would that be fair?
I think he'd beat a few of the British team actually. Yeah, he was shit hot, man. He was brilliant, and he still is. Like 60 years old, I won't mess with him. Like he's brilliant. Like he's still. No, I mean this was like
not necessarily compete. Will he get on a mat and have a rumble around? Or
he could if he wanted to. Yeah, right. Like, it's just like second nature. It's like breathing.
He'd probably still tell you he could flog you. I assume. Yeah.
He probably could. He probably could. He's a big unit, but he knows his stuff as well. Like again, that was his life. Like, well, it is his life. Judo's been his life. Like, well, again, since forever.
And you were doing sport as a kid. You were doing judo as a kid.
Yeah, soon.
I assume it was a small circle of people that would do judo.
For me or my dad, because my dad.
I was thinking, if you think Alaman popular, I'd imagine there's probably 20, 30 kids doing it.
Again, when I was a kid, like it was quite big. Well, again, I don't know if that's because I was small and I was just like, but there seemed to be so many kids down there. Like the hall was always chocker. It was absolutely rammed. Like even the seniors were on, like the mat was full. And like just as the years have gone on, like over fucking decades or whatever. It's just dwindled. Like, people have retired or got into different things, and like you say, without the publicity and stuff of the sport, like, especially on TV and social media and stuff, you just don't see it. It's just dwindled. Like, there's a handful of people that are still practicing it, like, religiously now, and it's a massive shame.
Why do you think that? Let's call it failing. Why do you think that? It's just
why what? Sorry.
Why do you think that's gone that way? Do you think because there's obviously more and more sports, so by definition, you're trying to attract, you're trying to attract kids. They've got 20 options now, perhaps, or 30 options than they did years. Or is it maybe the Judo Association here perhaps haven't, I wouldn't say done as good job because I've no idea, but could do more, or
I don't know. Yeah, maybe just judo's just not got with the times, I suppose. Like, even, I suppose, probably the same across, to be honest. I don't honestly know, but here on the island, it's took a nosedive, like, since from when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? And that is a massive shame, and I'm not 100% sure why. I just think maybe modern times and stuff, like, people are just all on TikTok watching people getting knocked out, and I don't know, the rise of jiu-jitsu's doing really well now. So
that's why I wonder what, and again, no idea, but if you're trying to attract people into sport, and obviously work with people and know people that do MMA now, which I suppose in many ways is a sport that didn't exist some time ago, but can judo leverage off that and be like, this can be your gateway into MMA, come and learn the basics in judo, in a maybe slightly more controlled environment, maybe judo than MMA, I don't know.
I'd say so, but just going back to when I was a kid, like, yeah, I did love going to judo. Like, it was all I did, like, week in, week out. Dad would take me there, like, after school, that was it. Like, I'd just do judo. But I did get to a point, I can't remember, like, probably 11, 12 maybe, and I was like, crap this. Like, I just, like you say, I just saw people in the playgrounds, like, having scraps, and, like, people talking about boxing and, like, watching boxing on TV, and I was like, I want to do some real fighting. But knowing what I know now, back then, like, that's the real fighting. Like, a judoka would absolutely smash a boxer to death. Like, as soon as you get hands on, it's game over. Like, simple as that, game over, you're going down. Like, there's nothing you can, unless you knock me out with one punch, you're getting thrown to the floor and you're getting strangled. Done. Like,
yeah, well, I think, maybe again, not a great example, but we look at Conor fighting and Mayweather in boxing is one thing, but if it was the other way around and they're fighting out,
100%, yeah. Well, kill him. Why hasn't Mayweather fought him in the octagon yet? Do you know what I mean? There's a reason for that, because he knows he'll get beat. Simple as that.
Yeah. So talk then early career then, or early into judo. You're talk about 11 and 12. But I assume you carried on judo and then started to represent the Isle of Man at judo. Is it, how does that work?
Yeah, I have done. Yeah,
doing in those teenage years.
I've represented the island a few times, mostly at the Island Games. I think,
is it in every second year, or is it one of the sports that comes in and out of the Island Games?
It comes in and out. I think even the Isle of Man in 2029, I think it is. They're not doing it. So, come on, like, give us a break, like. But yeah, I think the first one I did was Rhodes. Were you there? Rhodes. Yeah, I've done all right there. I kind of, again, when there's big things going on, I've kind of been drawn back, like, lured back into the sport kind of thing. You know, I left probably about 12, 13 to go and do a bit of boxing. Obviously, I said, obviously pre-notes or whatever, but like, my cousin was doing really well in his boxing. He's winning amateur titles and turned professional with Ricky Hatton and all that stuff. And again, like, it does draw you to it. Do you know what I mean? It gave me inspiration. I was like, I want a bit of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing really well. Like, in the paper with Ricky Hatton, all best buds and that, I was like, I'm just doing judo and I'm back. Like, do you know what I mean? It kind of took the shine off it a little bit. So I went into that for a few years. And then...
Any good at it?
I was all right. Yeah, I was all right. Again, probably not the same as a judo, probably not fulfilled my full potential, really. Like, I didn't really grab the bull by the horns or got my teeth really sunk into either of them, really. I've done all right, but...
And if you look back on that now and perhaps giving your son guidance, what would you be saying to your son about, like, let's use the word mistakes I made, you talk there about not fulfilling your potential.
Yeah.
What would you be saying to your son?
Again, I mean, I'd like for him to do it, at any sport, really, but I'm not going to force him.
No,
it's one of them things. If he wants to do it, he can, and I'll support him and try and guide him a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And give him some advice. But he might not even want to do it, to be honest, Martin. So
that would be the same especially from your dad to you, which was never forced you to do it. It's sport.
No, yeah.
To do it.
He just took me down because he was going. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was forced, but I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of all I knew, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can do what he wants.
And in those sort of teenage years, training wise, is it all just judo training, or do you strength and conditioning work?
It was mostly just on the mat, judo. Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, right.
Like really, like
and even adult age, that's
no, I do a bit more now. I obviously go for my runs and push a few weights in the gym and that. Bit of swimming, but you don't have to. Like judo's like, again, like it's all like calisthenics. Is that to say that right?
Yeah.
Like body weight kind of stuff. Like you can do circuit training body weight. Like you don't need big weights or a gym to do it. You just need you and a partner, and you're just drilling the same moves over and over again. It's tiring, man. Like unless you've tried it, like just do like a minute of uchikomi, which is like repetitions of a move.
Okay.
Like it's like hitting a bag for a minute or something, like full belt. Like people don't realize how hard it is until they're actually smacking the bag for a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like it is difficult. So yeah, that's basically just on the mat all the time.
Okay. So you mentioned, like you say, the boxing, you did that for a period of time. I think you mentioned you had about 20, 25 fights, certainly won the majority of them. What stopped you then boxing?
I'm trying to think back now. My last fight was against a guy called Lyndon Arthur. He's still fighting now. He's turned professional. He fought Dimitri Bivol a couple of months ago. He got beat, but he fought on the world stage. You know what I mean? I think he's been British champion, Commonwealth champion, all that. He's been on TV quite a bit. In fact, I think most of his professional fights have been aired because he's all right. Do you know what I mean? He's quite decent. And that was probably my last fight in there. It was on the Northwest ABA finals again, good kid. Like, I thought I could have had to beat him over a couple of more rounds because I could feel him. His gas tank was running out. I was getting on top of him.
What weight were you fighting at?
That one was under 81 kilos.
Okay, what? So, and like that's a light middle, what?
What was I? Light heavyweight in boxing terms.
Yeah,
amateur boxing. It was light heavyweight. So yeah, I probably wasn't a fully fledged light heavyweight at the time. Like I was just coming out like middleweight. Okay. So I was kind of like in between weights. So I wasn't the biggest at the weight. He was a lot bigger than me. But yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like, I think I just got sick of it. I came back from uni, moved back home, and girlfriend at the time, she found out she was pregnant. And at pretty much at the same time, my cousin was blowing me up on the phone, like, come over and train with me, come and do this, come and do that. Like I'm with Ricky Hatton and the Jennings brothers and all this stuff. And I'm like, do you know what, I'll just go over for a couple of weeks, a month, maybe see how it goes. And I went over there and done a bit of training with him. And it was all right. I enjoyed it. It was really good. But then there was, again, the two sides of me was like, well, I either just commit and move away from the island from my pregnant girlfriend and do this. No money. Do you know what I mean? Like financially, I was ruined. I had no money behind me or anything, no sponsorship, nothing. Go there and just wing it and just try it. Do you know what I mean? Live with my cousin and hopefully I'll do all right, or just come back, get a job and be with my family, basically. Yeah, and I chose that one. But looking back, that's a hard game as well. The old boxing, like getting punched in the head every day, like just in sparring, like it's grim.
I think I haven't read his book, but Bellew said like he only became comfortable to be able to live once he'd fought for championship. Also, he had to get right to the top to get, use the word, I think he used the word comfortable, not mega rich. So, I don't think, I mean, we know Matty Rennie and just starting to work through his ranks, but there's just nothing, you know, it's
hard from the island.
God, love the sport.
Yeah. Oh, of course, mate. Yeah. And I probably didn't love it as much as I thought I did, to be totally honest with you. To be going through that every day, it kind of like put it in perspective. Like, I probably didn't want it as much as I was saying that I wanted it. Do you know what I mean? I was just saying I wanted it because I saw my cousin doing it. Do you know what I mean? And like, I was just like, nah. And so I just kind of just knocked it on the head from there. I still train it, like I still do it every now and then and hit the bags and stuff like that. But in terms of as a career, like a viable career option for me, it wasn't really there. Like financially as well. Like I was just like, all my friends and support will be on the Isle of Man. They're not going to buy a boat ticket, accommodation, food and drink expenses and all that stuff just to come and watch me fight every single time to then go back. And do you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't financially viable either. So yeah, I mean, like I say, fair play to Matty and I think Jamie Devine and stuff like that. They're all flying the flag, like they're doing brilliant. But just for me, it was just like I'd be plugging away at this like forever, like to even see a carrot. Do you know what I mean? And nah.
So you came back.
Just came back.
And then that when you joined the fire service?
I think I joined the fire service a little after.
Right.
20.
Did you go straight back into judo, or
No,
did you become that lady person on the couch?
I did go back to judo actually. Because I remember there's a picture of my son with a medal around his neck that I'd won at a competition somewhere. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I was dabbling in it still.
And how come you went back to judo then? Because if you'd left judo to go boxing, why was it judo you went back to over let's say boxing or anything else?
Just comfortable. Again, I know what I'm doing in the boxing ring. Do you know what I mean? But I know more what I'm doing on judo mat. And it just feels at home. It's like you on a cycling bike, like go play tennis for a few years, but you'll always go back on the saddle. So you know what I mean? Like you always go back on the to the bike. So it's just one of them. Yeah, I just like it. Yeah. So
then you've starting back competitions,
and you're not getting hit in the head.
Yeah, well, more important. So you're doing competitions now. Talk a bit about what you're doing now in this space.
Yeah. Funny story. One of my friends from work down at the fire station, he pestering me for ages. I want to go judo. Take me down to the club. Where is it? And I was like, right, we'll do it next week, like Monday or whatever. I'll pick you up and we'll go down and see how you like it. Because like we were saying before, like it can be a bit of a monotonous sport, like to get into straight away. Because you like probably why the boxing's more appealing to people, because you get in the gym straight when you're smacking a bag and you're letting all the anger out and it's class this like you're getting straight stuck into it, aren't you? Whereas judo, they kind of build you up slowly. You've got to learn how to take a fall before you can even throw anybody and like break falling and stuff like that. What, you want to say something now?
No. Listening intently.
So it's quite of a slow process to get to where you think, where you'll see me like on Instagram or something, like a tournament, like throwing someone, it's like, I want a bit of that, and then you go down, it's like, there's nothing like that. But you got to work at it and get there. So I took him down, like just thinking he was going to go down there and do a few roly-polies and think, it's crap this, and see you later. So I took him down. He was like, what do you reckon? And he's like, it's good. It's good. It's like, I'll see you next week. And I was like, yeah, sound. But I never went, because I again started at the fire service then. I was just kind of focusing on that, really, to be honest. Like the judo, boxing, whatever, like training, like kind of went out the window a little bit. So I was just focusing on that. And I didn't really see this fella for a while at work. He was like, I'm on the watch system, so I'm doing shifts, and he's like day staff, so it's a little bit like a different system, so I don't see him all the time. I wasn't really speaking to him either. So like maybe like a couple of years down, like a year or two down the line, bump into him in the car park or whatever. I was like, you right, mate? He's like, oh yeah, how's it going? I was like, yeah, not bad. Like, what are you up to? And he was like, I'm going away this weekend. I was like, all right. Yeah, I'm going fighting. I was like,
all right.
What? Start boxing again or something? And he was like, no, I'm judo. I was like, what do you mean? Like, so you've carried on going since that first time I took you and didn't bother to tell me anything about it? Right? He's just been going for like 2 years solid. Like he's on like his orange belt or something, and he's going away for a fight. And I was like, you mad, man? Like, could have mentioned it to me. Do you know what I mean? Like he just kind of went, he loves it. Absolutely, still doing it now. Absolutely loves it. But that's what got me back into it, because I was like, sneaky little bastard. Trying to get better than me. Like, so I kind of went back and like we were training together, and it got me back into it big time. Because like you say, like, you talked about Trevor and that before, like all of them have gone, like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of bare bones again. And like to have a mate with me, like it just made it that much better. So I stuck at it, and I mean, I'm the one there I'm there more than him now. So it's like the roles of reverse kind of thing.
And competing wise,
yeah. So I kind of came back for maybe a year ago. And the fellow I'm talking about, Dave, he was entering in a competition in London somewhere, High Wycombe, just outside London, whatever. He was like, you should go. And I was like, well, I've been back like 2 months, like rusty ass. Like, I don't want to go. Like, for me, I only go to win. Like, I don't want to go and get smashed. Like, it sounds bad, but I want to win. I don't see there's no other medal. There's just gold. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to lose a single fight. And he's like, just go. And he gave me this mindset book and all this. I'm reading this, and it's like, don't be afraid of failure and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'll just enter. So we entered it, and I won it. Like I'd done all right. I ended up fighting him as well in the same category. And
Interesting.
Felt really bad for beating him, but I had to be. I put him down gently. Do you know what I mean?
Such a liar.
Yeah, no, I did. I'll show you the video later.
No, I meant the bad. You felt bad about.
Oh right. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. No, he's a good kid. Like, but yeah. So I ended up winning that, and it just the bug came back like that, and I was like, oh, I want some more of this. Like,
and is that I think I was reading, but is that in a, again, you talked earlier about the belt categories you're fighting, but is that also age categories not known what
in the Masters? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm not too bothered. My coach says, yeah, you're in M1 or M whatever, and I'm like, that's sound. Yeah, put me in it. But yeah, so it'll be within, like, I think it's 30 to 32 or 30 to 33, and then it's 33 to 35, and stuff like that. So
within those,
and obviously the weight in there. But with judo, because there might not be that many people turn up, so they merge categories. So you could be fighting someone lighter or someone heavier, like 10 kilos heavier than you. Like, it's quite a big difference. You know what I mean? And
it weigh-in just a weigh-in and start of the day type of thing, or do you just
that depends. That they usually put something on the itinerary there saying you can weigh in like a day before, or it's just on the day. So I prefer the day before.
Do you see a lot of, let's think of boxing, do you see a lot of weight cutting people doing that? You know?
Look and go, and he's not 84.
Yeah, but it's in
me, to be honest. Yeah, just me, like, just not eating the night before, because I've never ever had to struggle with getting my weight down. I've always been trying to put it on to be the highest of the category, but now I'm like in the under 90s. Like, I'm probably like 96 now or 95. Like, so I've got to get 5 kilos off, like, in however many weeks, and then I've got to keep it just below that threshold. And I've never struggled with that up until like last year, getting old.
Yeah, because you want. And that sounds obvious, but you want to be the heaviest in that bracket. Because naturally, it's harder to
throw or whatever. Yeah, ideally, yeah. It's not a necessity. Like, I've beat people like a weight or two above me before, like, no bother. And that's the beauty of judo as well.
So that's the technique.
Yeah. Just one wrong foot placement, sweep or whatever, or yeah.
So I've only got one more question, which is back to you getting choked out.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Was that around this time, was it, or was that before?
But no, this is before, well before. Like,
so Rhodes was it, did you say?
Rhodes. No, Rhodes was the first Island Games I went to. The choking out incident, that was Gibraltar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But again, like, I shouldn't have really went to the games, to be honest. I was just sat at work, like, got a message off, like, my old coach, and he was like, do you fancy it? And I was like, yeah, I do, actually. Yeah. But it was only like 6 months to go or something, and I've been out of it for like a few years, and obviously like we're talking about, like, the level of, like, the standard of it is kind of, not the standard, sorry, but the people that used to do it are not there anymore. So it's like, it wasn't, I was thinking it was going to be the same kind of training as Rhodes, like, with the same people and same setup, and it wasn't. It was a little bit different, and different people involved, and I was working shifts, so I couldn't make every session, and like, it was a pain, like, but yeah, I went away like before it and done a few competitions in the UK, and I won them both. I guess it was kind of like setting myself up for failure a little bit, because I kind of like envisioned myself like being better than what I was, because I won these comps or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be all right at the games, but like, deep down I knew, like, these boys are like, it's like the World Cup of the islands, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So these are boys that are fighting for their national countries. Like, the guy that choked me out, I can't remember his name.
I'll say it. Yeah, you like choke me out.
I can't remember his name.
I feel like again more damage asking the question than the guy that choked you out.
he got to the finals anyway, and he's a good kid. He fights for Finland, and like, I could see, like, when we were warming up in the changing rooms, like, I could just see the technique on the guy, like, warming up. I was like, oh my god, like, I'm in for a tough one here. I could see this, because you have patches on the back of your gi with your home nation and your name and stuff, and I could see like patches underneath his patches, you know, for Finland, and like all. And I was like, this guy knows what he's doing, and. Little short.
Quite interesting in this style, like, obviously, again, your observations, just how a guy, like it is in most elite sports, you see guys warming up or stretching, or just the way they carry themselves.
Just size them up, like, a little bit. Yeah, you've got to, like, it's just natural instinct, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so
the choking out, I assume you can tap it out. If you were too stubborn to.
Yeah. All the build up to the games, I was saying to the whole team, I was like, if someone gets you in a choke, don't tap. We're fighting to the death. Like, you have to kill me to get me off that mat. So I was saying, like, gold is the only thing in my, like, if I lose one fight, I might as well not be there, because Like, that's all I want. I just want to win the whole thing. Don't care about second place or rep charge, anything like that. I just want to win the whole thing. So I was like, you have to kill me to get me off, and he nearly did.
During that moment, then, are you thinking I can get out of this, or was it just clear? Like, again, or was that moment where, like, either I'm waiting for him to let go a little, and I can get him because he doesn't think I'm going to tap. He thinks I'm going to tap at some point, but I'm not. So I'm waiting for that. It's funny, that moment to do it, or you're like, nah, it's fine. Go on then.
No. Well, I'm usually like that because, like, I kind of pride myself on, like, I'm never getting choked out. Like, I can breathe out of me. Shit.
On call
page, breathe out my bum hole if I need to. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll find a gasp of air from somewhere, like I always have, and I was just like, it was so tight, like I couldn't get anything, and I was just waiting for me to either pass out, which it's never happened to me before or since, or the ref's going to call it somehow, like something's going to have happened, or he's got I don't know, someone's just going to call Mate and stop the fight, and then I'll be like, thank God for that, and start fresh again. But they never did, and I went to sleep. It's a weird sensation because you're lying on the floor, and as you start coming to, your eyes are still closed, and you're thinking, "Oh, thank God, it's just a dream." And you open your eyes and you see the lights on the sports hall ceiling. You're like, wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream. You wake up and you're like, oh, God.
How long? You know, you don't know, but soon someone told you.
It's like 10 seconds,
okay.
5-10 seconds or something like that. But I felt at peace. Like, it's not as bad as what people make it out to be like. It's just the after trauma.
So obviously the plan is to keep doing judo.
I was in Malta in April, the beginning of April. I've not done anything since. That was the Masters Commonwealth Games, Judo Commonwealth Games. But I think like naively probably thought like I've won the British, I've won the Irish, I've won Commonwealth.
I was just going to say, you've done some pedigree here that you're kind of glossing over, really. And I know you like to big yourself up over what we've done for the last 50 minutes here, but winning the Irish, the British, and the Commonwealth Masters isn't someone to be sniffed out there.
I've done all right. Yeah, I've done all right. But like I say, like after all that, I was just like, you know what, someone's going to want to sponsor me. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if it's not, we want sponsorship as a club. We need it. As simple as that.
Isle of Man Judo, is that?
Isle of Man Judo, Southern
okay.
Isle of Man Judo, Southern Judo Club. But I just thought I was being selfish, like, just for me, like, because I need it. Do you know what I mean? I'm the one, like, me and Chris, to be fair, Chris is away all the time. I was like, but I'm away more than anybody down there. Like, I need it, like, do you know what I mean? Like, to get away, like, flights, accommodation, like, and it's not just a quick nip here, quick there, it's Malta, do you know what I mean? Like, it's quite far away, and some of the other competitions that I was eyeing up are quite far away, and it's just, I kind of thought I'd get someone on board to help me with that, and I just haven't. I've had a few little nibbles here and there, but I've just had no real interest, and I don't know. I think
does that sport help at all?
I've not looked at it personally. I think my coach has, and he was like, I don't think. It kind of put a bit of a negative spin on it, to be fair.
Yeah, so. And I don't. I mean, spoken to John, I could be wrong here, but I don't know whether they're looking at support for, I guess, people on a career, because I assume, obviously, I hope I'm not saying anything too untoward. This isn't a career path for you.
No.
So, but whether they're looking at like the age range of 13 to 21, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know, but whether that's the type of criteria for Ireland.
I'd imagine so.
That's Gianni, that. Or I forgot.
Yeah, because this kind of seems to come back to what we were talking about before in terms of it's not as well known, or
mainstream.
In that the mainstream compared to a glossier sport that someone might want to attach their name to. As you said, you've done this and you're clearly pretty good at it. But when you are wanting to, no, but you've done the British, the Irish, the Commonwealth. You've done the champion of your closest vicinity. So as you said, where do you go next? Start going into Europe and looking at that, or say further afield, I'm sure, whatever that you'd be looking at there. But as you said, how do you do that?
That's all it is. Just it's money. It's money.
Are you, to use the word, comfortable then being that's, let's say, with no disrespect, the level? Are you, because when you,
that's what I keep saying, like, if I'm winning, I want to keep winning. I want to go better than next.
Because that's what I find interesting. You last year won all that, and you've not done anything since.
Yeah.
Why?
It's all or nothing.
But why are you not doing those surely there every year or other competitions. Do you need that the next level?
I think
you
so,
need that high one to give you that drive.
I think so. Yeah. I could probably not happily, but I could easily just plod along doing what I'm doing here, and then just go away to the UK every now and then, fighting a couple of competitions and gradings, get my black belt, to be fair, and potter on doing that. But I can't. I just want to get away and do I want to do bigger and better things as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's going to take a bit of money. And I had the year set out to what I wanted to do. So after Malta, I wanted to do what is it next? The World Firefighter Games. Judo's in it. That'd have been amazing. That's next month, 7th of September it is. And I just planned, I wanted to go away to the UK training. These boys are training 7 days a week. Do you know what I mean? I'm training once or twice if I'm lucky with my shifts and stuff. And it's just, like I say,
we're always off.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Matt just texted me.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So the aspirations to continue, certainly funding's available, continue to do more fighting. So is there many clubs on now, man, or just that one you mentioned?
There's 2, one in Douglas, one in...
People want to get involved. What's the best way to try and get involved?
They've just changed the training times, I think, actually. I've just seen it on the group chat.
Do you have a Facebook page?
There will be a Facebook page, yeah. You can go through all the socials.
Do you think it's like some sports, I think, can be seen sometimes as a bit clicky? Is it a clicky sport? Or
No.
Someone knocked on the door and said, I'm new to this, show me the ropes here?
And that's kind of why I love it as well. It's so inclusive, as opposed to some other sports. Maybe it can, I've grown up around it. I know it can be clicky and a bit of a hostile environment sometimes. Judo's nothing like that. I think that's why a lot of people, but the likes of the people that I know that are doing it, they're so sound, brilliant lads, brilliant girls, get on with everybody. It's a nice place to be and train. Yeah,
so good recommendation. You or whether it's your kids and you want them to, again, that we go back to that first discussion around the discipline and respect, which sounds really good kind of value to instill.
Yeah, massively.
Just to reach out through Facebook, etc. And come down and have a throw around. Wow.
Yeah.
How to ball first.
Yeah. Need more people down there. I need some training partners.
Well, I'm not sure money about you, but it won't be your skinny cyclist anyway. Well, thanks, Sean. Really fascinating.
Absolutely.
Good to learn a bit about judo and the scene. Congratulations on obviously the wins recently and the choking out. And I appreciate your time.
Good, mate. Thank you.
It's a word out from Lauren.
Word out from Matt.
4 flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.